Citizens for Change address you this morning to express our worry and sadness over the high-handedness and illegalities being perpetrated by the NAFDAC DG, Professor Mojisola Christiana Adeyeye, and her co-travelers. We read with rude shock a piece of news item in the print media, broadcast, and other media outlets credited to the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, purportedly placing a ban on the production, distribution, and consumption of alcoholic beverages in sachets and small volume PET glass bottles below 200 milligrams by December 2025. This draconian pronouncement by the General Professor Mojisola Christiana Adeyeye, in collaboration with some members of the Nigerian Senate, is in sharp contrast to the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, who rose to power with a people-oriented development blueprint and immediately embarked on total diversification of the nation's economy to make resources available for the execution of capital projects, as can be seen in full deregulation of the oil sector downstream. Our fuse with the said publication lies in its hasty and undemocratic nature. The agency in question has failed to engage critical stakeholders and industry players to find a common ground in line with the resolution reached at a parley with the Federal Ministry of Health and members of the House of Representatives, where far-reaching resolutions were made. We are further constrained that the ban is pursuant to alleged resolution passed by the Senate, an arm of government that is ordinarily supposed to be representing the interests of all Nigerians, directing NAFDAC to enforce the illegal ban on December 31st, 2025, without hearing from the second party. We strongly suspect that the alleged Senate resolution were passed at a behest of NAFDAC at a sitting of Thursday, November 6th, 2025, without taking cognizance to the ongoing consideration of the same matter by the members of the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, a directive for 1 year extension by the Ministry of Health, a supervising organ of government that is constitutionally saddled with the responsibility of overseeing NAFDAC, leading to the consideration and validation of a draft on national alcoholic policy by stakeholders, is still being deliberated upon, which should have been considered before any major official pronouncement by an arm of the government. We are taken aback because the issue of ban on alcohol in sachets and small PET bottles were resolved by a high-powered committee of stakeholders who validated the national alcohol policy in October 2025, with key recommendations were made, including multi-sectoral action plans, robust and pragmatic enforcement plan by law enforcement agencies, establishment of licensed liquor stores and outlets in local government areas across the country, in monitoring and surveillance to ensure compliance, to ensure compliance checks by NAFDAC, FCCP, and others to guarantee quality assurance in terms of content and safety. Product regulation by relevant bodies, monitoring and enlightenment campaigns on the dangers of underage consumption of alcohol and its sales in motor parks. Enlightenment campaigns to be carried out in secondary schools across the country to enlighten students on dangers and vices associated with abuse of alcohol. All of these were agreed upon by stakeholders at the event, which we believe was a more transparent process as against the recent pronouncement of purported outright ban. It is also worthy of note that the unfounded and untested statement of abuse by the minors has been dismissed by several independently research conducted by the government. The industry has even gone further, notwithstanding the report of the survey, to initiate series of campaigns in respect of responsible alcohol consumption in order to discourage underage abuse, which has so far cost industry operators a whopping sum of over billion naira on advert placement in major media giants across the federation, and has been very impactful in discouraging abuse by underage persons. More so, it is important to state that the purported directive for an outright ban is unfair and unacceptable, given the fact that NAFDAC have issued its violation of the terms of a more inclusive process that was organized by the agency's supervising Ministry of Health. It is our position that NAFDAC should have presented its position before the Senate committee alongside the ministry during the validation, rather bypassing these processes and opting to approach the National Assembly without giving other stakeholders opportunity of fair hearing. Unfortunately, the implications of these pronouncements are too grave to be ignored. It is economically counterproductive for a government that is expanding its revenue net to gulp in more resources for the execution of infrastructure projects. If allowed to stand, it would cause economic dislocation of unimaginable proportion for the nation at this critical time. It would have grievous consequences for our nascent economy, resulting to a loss of over 1.9 trillion investment by indigenous Nigerian companies, with attendant mass retrenchment of over 500,000 direct employees and approximately 5 million indirect jobs through contracts, marketing, and other logistics. Reduction in capacity utilization and manufacturing, which recent quarterly economic indices suggest a gradual upward movement owing to revenue from alcoholic industries contribution as a component of food and beverages sector, and loss of indigenous businesses that may gradually obliterate local entrepreneurship development in the country. Our prayers: 1, that the Honorable Minister and Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare to kindly endorse the draft copy of the validated Nigerian National Alcohol Policy and its multi-sectoral implementation framework. 2, that the Senate should act with dignity, fairness, and respect for all in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that they sworn to uphold, and revisit the matter by way of calling for a stakeholders consultation, either through public hearing or focus meeting with relevant industry players in the alcoholic beverages industry, as was robustly done by the House of Representatives. Our final prayer is this: that the Senate rescind the order and also restrain NAFDAC from implementing the illegal ban from December 31st, 2025, pending the full implementation of the multi-sectoral framework for Nigeria National Agency Policy. And lastly, that Professor Mojisola Christiana Adiyeye, the NAFDAC DG, should desist from further running the agency like a private business enterprise and subjecting it to public ridicule, or resign, as her actions and continuous stay in office poses serious threats to the full implementation of Mr. President's Renew Hope agenda.